The sun on the alien world of Dravaka was twice as bright as Earth's, and the air was thick with the scent of wild trees and burning fire pits. Human soldier Kalen wiped the sweat from his brow as he stepped into the sparring circle. Around him, tall and strong Vrakari warriors stood in a half-circle, watching him with their glowing yellow eyes. Their skin was rough like stone and their movements were sharp and precise. Kalen was the only human here, the only one sent from Earth to join the Vrakari as part of a peace agreement. Most people thought it was too dangerous. The Vrakari were known as warriors, and some said they still didn't trust humans. But Kalen had volunteered. He believed peace was worth fighting for, even if it meant stepping into a ring with someone who could easily crush him. His opponent today was Jari, a young but respected Vrakari female warrior. She was fast, proud, and not known for mercy. She stood almost a head taller than Kalen and wore a confident smile as she stepped forward, her fists wrapped in leather. "Try not to fall too quickly, human," she said, her voice calm but mocking. Kalen smiled. "I'll do my best." The signal was given and the fight began. Jari moved first, lightning quick. Kalen barely blocked her strike before rolling aside and coming up behind her. He landed a soft tap on her back, the kind that wouldn't hurt but showed skill. She turned with surprise and a little more respect in her eyes. The sparring continued, both fighters dodging and striking. It was intense but fair. Kalen knew he wouldn't win, but he was determined to show heart, not fear. Then it happened. As he raised his arm to block a fast hook, Jari suddenly twisted and bit his wrist. Her sharp teeth pierced his skin just enough to draw blood. Kalen yelped in surprise and pulled back. "Hey, what was that?" Jari froze. The entire circle around them went silent. The other Vrakari stared at the blood running down Kalen's wrist like it was something holy. Jari's eyes widened in shock. She hadn't meant to bite. It was instinct, part of her training and past battles. But this wasn't just a bite. Whispers began. "Mateblood." Kalen looked around, confused. "What? What did she do?" Jari stepped back, her expression unreadable. She looked at the elder standing outside the ring. The elder slowly walked toward them, his face serious. "You have been bitten during open combat," the elder said, "and it drew blood." "Yeah," Kalen said, wrapping a cloth around his wrist. "She just got too rough, right?" The elder didn't smile. "No. This is a sacred sign. A warrior's bite during a fight, when blood is drawn, is an ancient Vrakari bond ritual. You have been marked as Mateblood." Kalen blinked. "Wait, what? Mate, what does that mean?" Jari looked horrified. "It means my tribe believes I just chose you as a mate." Kalen stared at her. "But I didn't agree to anything." "You don't have to," the elder said. "The act was witnessed. The tradition is clear." Jari turned sharply to the elder. "It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it." "Intent does not change the law," the elder replied. "The bite was true. The blood was true. The bond is now beginning." Kalen felt his head spin. A moment ago he was just sparring. Now he was part of some alien bonding ritual with someone who didn't even like him. Jari looked at him with frustration. "I didn't mean for this. I was only fighting." Kalen nodded. "I believe you. But what happens now?" The elder folded his hands behind his back. "Now, the trial begins. You will live with her tribe. You will prove if you are worthy of the title Mateblood. If you fail, the bond is broken. If you succeed, it is sealed forever." Kalen looked at Jari. She looked away, clearly uncomfortable. He sighed. "I didn't come here to get married. I came to build peace. But if walking away means disrespecting your people, I'll stay and follow your rules. For now." The elder gave a small nod. Spoken like a true warrior, the crowd slowly began to cheer, low at first, then louder. Some clapped, others chanted the word again. "Mateblood." Jari turned to Kalen. "This will not be easy." "I didn't expect it to be," he replied with a tired smile. "But maybe It will be interesting. As the sun began to set, over the jagged mountains, Callan stood there, bleeding, wrist-covered, heart pounding. He had no idea what lay ahead, but one thing was sure. He had just become part of something far bigger than he ever imagined. Callan followed the Vakari warriors into the center of the village. The air smelled of smoke, herbs, and dust. Strange drums echoed in the distance. Children ran behind him, staring wide-eyed. Warriors nodded at him with expressions that were neither friendly nor hostile, just curious. Everyone whispered the same word again and again. Mateblood. He walked beside Jari, though she didn't speak. Her steps were fast and sharp. Her jaw was tight. Clearly, she was not happy about what happened. Callan finally broke the silence. So, this Mateblood thing, is it like a marriage? Jari sighed, not looking at him. Not exactly, it's a bond, a connection between two warriors. It is tested before it is accepted. There are rules. Rules? She nodded. You have to stay with my tribe for 10 cycles. If you pass the 3 main trials, the bond becomes permanent. If you fail or refuse, the bond is rejected, and my honor is damaged. Callan raised an eyebrow. Your honor? But it was an accident. In Vakari culture, it does not matter, she replied firmly. The bite and the blood were witnessed, now it is real. I must follow through, or I will be seen as a coward who tried to escape her bond. Callan frowned. So we're both stuck? Jari stopped walking and turned to face him. Her eyes were sharp, glowing slightly under the twin suns. No one is forcing you. You can leave any time. But if you do, my people will never speak to humans again. That hit hard. Callan had trained for months to be part of this mission. He had believed in peace and partnership. He didn't want to be the reason it all fell apart. I'm not leaving, he said quietly. I'll do what's needed. Jari blinked. It was the first time she looked at him with something other than frustration. Still, she didn't speak. She turned and walked toward the elder's tent. Inside, the elder stood beside a large fire pit. His wrinkled face was serious. He motioned for them to sit on woven mats. You have accepted the trial? The elder asked Callan. I have, Callan said, sitting down cross-legged. Then listen carefully. There are 3 tests for Mateblood. The first is the trial of spirit. You must live among us without complaint or weakness. The second is the trial of unity. You and Jari must fight together as one. The last is the trial of trust. You will not know when it comes, but it will test your hearts, not your hands. Callan nodded slowly. Sounds simple enough. The elder gave him a strange smile. Nothing about the Vakari is simple. After the meeting, Callan was given a place to sleep, a small tent beside Jari's home. It wasn't much, just a bedroll and a lamp, but it was quiet and away from the main camp. He sat there listening to the wind whisper through the trees. His wrist still stung, but he had wrapped it well. Later that night, Jari came by. She didn't enter but stood outside the tent. You should know something, she said. Callan sat up. What's that? I never wanted this. Not with anyone. I planned to become a war guide, not someone's mate. I believe you, Callan replied. But here we are. They sat in silence for a moment. Why did you volunteer to come to Dravaka? She asked suddenly. Callan thought for a second. Because I was tired of humans fighting over everything. I thought maybe, if we could understand others, we could finally change things. Maybe meeting new people like your kind could make us better. Jari was quiet. Most Vakari think humans are soft, she said. Too gentle, too small. Do you think that? I did. Callan chuckled. Well, I'll try to change your mind. The next day began the first trial. The trial of spirit was not about fighting. It was about surviving the Vakari way of life. Callan woke before sunrise every day. He had to carry firewood from the mountain paths, fetch water from the stream, guarded by wild beasts, and help cook meals using ingredients he had never seen before. At first he struggled. The sun was too hot. The food tasted strange. The language was hard. The Vrakari laughed when he fell or made mistakes. But Callan never got angry. He laughed with them. He learned. Slowly he began to understand their jokes, their songs, and their rhythm. Jari watched him from a distance. She never offered help, but she always noticed when he succeeded, and when he failed she was always nearby, even if she said nothing. One evening, a group of Vrakari younglings gathered around him. They wanted him to tell stories of Earth. Callan spoke about oceans, ice cream, flying cars, and old legends. Their eyes lit up with wonder. They had never heard of a place with so much water and color. One child asked, "Is it true that humans build homes in the sky?" Callan smiled. "Some of us do, but my home was small, just big enough for my dreams." Jari had been listening. She didn't speak, but her eyes softened. Later that week, the elder called both of them. "The trial of spirit is complete," he said. "You did not break. You did not beg. You learned. For a human, this is rare." Callan bowed slightly. "Thank you, elder." Now begins the second trial. The trial of unity. Callan looked at Jari. She looked back at him, unsure. "You must fight side by side in the arena," the elder explained, "against two wild beasts. If your bond is weak, you will fail." Jari narrowed her eyes. "We don't trust each other yet." "That is the point," the elder said. As they left the tent, Callan turned to her. "I've seen you fight. You're strong. Just tell me what to do, and I'll follow." Jari looked at him surprised. "You'll follow? You've lived here your whole life. I trust you." For the first time since the spar, Jari gave him a small smile. Maybe, just maybe, this bond wasn't a mistake after all. The arena was made of stone and dust with high walls carved into the ground. Sharp wooden spears were planted all around the edge, pointing inward. Hundreds of Vrakari filled the seats carved from rock, watching silently as Callan and Jari stepped into the ring together. This was the trial of unity. They were not allowed to use weapons. Only their hands, their instincts, and their trust in one another. The Vrakari believed that two warriors joined by Mateblood must fight with perfect harmony, or they were unworthy of the bond. Callan stood beside Jari, heart pounding. She looked calm but serious. "Stay behind me at first," she said quietly. "Watch how they move. We'll only have one chance to hit together." "Understood," Callan replied. A horn blew from the far end. The metal gate rattled open, and two beasts stepped out. They were huge, covered in dark scales, four-legged with long tails and jaws full of teeth. Their glowing eyes locked onto Callan and Jari immediately. "They're called Dracs," Jari whispered. "Don't let them circle us." The creatures growled low and began to move. One split left, one right, just like Jari had warned. "Back to back," Callan said quickly, and without question, Jari moved into position. Their backs touched lightly, both in a low stance. One of the Dracs rushed at Callan. He rolled aside, letting it crash into the dirt, then kicked its side. It barely flinched. Jari moved faster. She dodged the second beast's charge and slammed her elbow into its eye. It hissed and turned. "We need to strike them both. Same time, same place," Jari shouted. Callan nodded. "How?" She looked at him quickly. "We draw them in together. When I say jump, you move left, I'll go high." They separated slightly, letting the creatures follow them, circling once more. "Now," Jari yelled. Callan moved exactly as she said. The Dracs charged, and Jari leapt from Callan's bent back, flipping over the first beast's head and landing a solid punch to its neck. At the same time, Callan slammed both fists into the second. Beast's eye. The crowd gasped as both Dracs stumbled. "Again!" Jari called. They worked as one. Callan would distract, Jari would strike, then they'd switch. Within minutes, the two creatures were limping, dazed, and finally, lying flat, in the dirt. Silence fell over the arena. Then came the roar of the crowd. The elder stood, raising his hand. "The trial of unity is past." Jari helped Callan to his feet. He was covered in dust and sweat, but smiling. You followed my lead, she said. You gave clear orders, he replied. She looked at him with something new in her eyes. Respect, maybe even something more. They walked back to the village together. That night a feast was held. Drums were played, fires were lit. Drakari warriors slapped Callan on the back, offering him strange drinks and bits of cooked meat. Jari stayed, close but quiet. Her eyes followed Callan as he laughed with the children and spoke with the elders. Later she approached him near the fire. You fight well, she said. You lead well, he answered. Jari sat beside him. I didn't think a human would survive one trial, let alone two. Callan chuckled. I didn't think I'd be here long enough to be called Mateblood. She looked at the stars. I never wanted a mate, not like this. But now, I'm beginning to wonder. Callan's smile faded slightly. Are you saying you'd accept the bond? Jari didn't answer right away. I'm saying I might not reject it. Before Callan could say anything more, the elder stood and raised his hand for silence. The final trial comes soon, he said. But unlike the others, it cannot be scheduled. The trial of trust will find you when it chooses. The feast continued, but Callan felt something shift in the air, a trial without warning. He wondered what it could be. 2 days passed. Callan returned to helping the tribe. He worked with builders, fixed fences, and joined the hunters to learn tracking. Jari trained young warriors and often watched Callan quietly when she thought he wasn't looking. On the third night, a storm came. Dark clouds rolled over the mountain. Thunder crashed. The wind howled through the trees like a wild beast. Callan was inside his tent when he heard the alarm horn. Loud, urgent. He ran outside. Jari met him halfway. It's the river. It's rising too fast. Some children are trapped in the low fields. Without speaking, they both ran toward the river. Rain fell hard. Mud pulled at their feet. In the distance, 3 small Drakari children were stuck on a piece of land surrounded by rushing water. The bridge had been washed away. Jari looked at Callan. We'll go together. I'll carry 2. You carry 1. The water was cold and fast. Callan nodded. Let's go. They tied ropes around their waists, anchored them to a thick tree, and stepped into the river. The current almost took Callan off his feet, but Jari caught him. Focus, she shouted. They reached the children. Callan lifted one girl onto his shoulders while Jari carried the other 2 in her arms. The current grew stronger. Halfway back, Callan slipped, and the rope snapped. He fell into the water, the child clinging to him in fear. The river pulled him under. Jari dropped the children on safe ground and dove in after him without hesitation. She found him under the surface, holding the child tight, his body stuck between rocks. With all her strength, she pulled them free. Together, they fought the current and reached the shore. They lay on the muddy ground, coughing and shaking. You came back for me, Callan said between breaths. Jari looked at him. You had the child. I trust you. But I wasn't going to lose you. That night the elder came to them. You have passed the final trial, he said. Callan sat up. That was it? Yes. The trial of trust comes in danger and fear. You risked your lives for each other. The bond is now real. Jari stood beside Callan. What happens now? The elder smiled. You are free to choose. Complete the bond, or walk away as friends with respect. Callan looked at Jari. What do you want? She looked into his eyes. I want to choose freely, and I choose you. The sky was clear the next morning. A cool breeze moved through the village, brushing past the trees and tents. Callan sat outside, warming his hands by the fire. His clothes were still damp from the storm, but his mind was calm. Something had changed between him and Jari after the river rescue. It wasn't just about the trial anymore. Jari appeared beside him with 2 cups. One was filled with a dark, warm drink that smelled like herbs and berries. "Here," she said, handing him one. "You earned it." Callan took the cup and smiled. "Thanks. I think I still have river water in my ears." She chuckled softly. "You're lucky you didn't break your arm in those rocks." "Maybe I did, and I'm too stubborn to notice." They sipped in silence for a while. Around them, the tribe moved slowly, many of them still tired from the storm and rescue efforts. But there was peace in the air. Jari looked at Callan. "Do you remember what the elder said last night?" Callan nodded. "That we can choose now." "Yes, we are no longer bound by mistake. The bond is ours to accept or refuse." Callan stared into the fire. "I thought a lot about it. At first, I just wanted to make peace between our people. I didn't come here expecting this." "I didn't either," Jari replied. "But the trials showed me something. You didn't just survive, you became part of us. You helped our younglings. You worked harder than some of our own warriors." Callan looked at her, surprised by the softness in her voice. Jari continued, "If I must choose a Mateblood, I want it to be someone who stands beside me, not in front of me, not behind me." "And that's me?" he asked, half smiling. She met his gaze. "Yes, if you still want this bond." Callan stood up, stretched his arms, and looked at the village. Then he turned to her and said, "I do." They both felt it, something small but real, settling in their chests like a quiet flame. Later that evening, the elder summoned the whole tribe to the central circle. A large fire was lit in the middle. The flames danced high, casting golden light on the faces of everyone gathered. Jari and Callan stood side by side as the elder stepped forward. "Tonight," the elder began, "we witnessed the true joining of Mateblood. No accident, no trial, a bond chosen freely." The tribe remained silent, respectful. Jari stepped forward. "I, Jari of the Red Fang clan, accept Callan of Earth as my equal. I offer him my fire, my strength, and my path." Then Callan stepped forward. "I, Callan, accept Jari as my equal. I offer her my heart, my trust, and my future." The elder nodded. "Then the bond is sealed." Drums began to play, the tribe cheered, food was shared, music filled the air, and dancers moved around the flames. Jari led Callan to a raised platform at the side of the circle. It overlooked the village and the wide forest beyond. She sat beside him, her expression softer than ever before. "Do you feel different now?" she asked. "A little," he said. "But mostly, I feel like I belong." She nodded. "That matters more than anything." They sat quietly, watching the stars appear one by one. The next day, the two of them began a new routine. As official Matebloods, they were now a unit, trusted to train younger warriors together, lead small missions outside the village, and solve disputes between different clans. They worked well together. Jari's skills in battle and Callan's way of thinking made them a powerful pair. Callan brought new ideas from Earth, ways to build safer shelters, tools for farming, even simple games that the young ones loved. One afternoon, while showing the tribe how to make a water filter using stones and sand, Jari pulled him aside. "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" Callan asked. "There's a meeting of all the clan leaders in 3 days. My clan will be there, but so will the old rival tribes. Some of them still hate humans. They didn't agree with our bond." Callan frowned. "Do you think there'll be trouble?" "I don't know. But they may challenge you." Callan looked serious. "Challenge me how?" "In words first. Maybe in battle. They'll say you are weak, that I made the wrong choice." Callan nodded. "Then we'll show them. It wasn't the wrong choice." 3 days later, they arrived at the Stone Council grounds. It was a huge open area surrounded by trees and ancient statues. Leaders from all Vrakari clans stood in a wide circle. Some bowed as Callan and Jari approached. Others turned their backs. An older warrior from the Iron Fang stepped forward. I speak for those who question this bond, he said loudly. We saw the trials. We know the rules. But this human, he is not one of us. Jari stepped forward. He passed every trial. He risked his life for our young. He fights with me, not against me. He earned this bond. Another voice came. He's still just human. Callan raised his hand. Then test me. Not with fists, not with blood, but with something harder. Let me prove I can be trusted with more than a bond. Let me represent Earth in the Great Council. The Vrakari murmured. It was a bold request. Jari looked at him in surprise. One of the elders, a woman from the Stone Claw clan, stepped forward. Let him speak. Let him share his thoughts. Callan took a deep breath. Your people value strength, courage, and loyalty. I may look different. I may come from another world. But those values, those are human values too. We are more alike than you think. If you give me a place at the table, I will not waste it. Silence followed. Then the Stone Claw elder nodded. We accept the bond, and we accept him as the first human voice in our council. Jari smiled proudly. Callan bowed his head. The meeting ended with respect and new beginnings. That night, as they returned to their tent, Jari looked at Callan. You didn't just earn my trust, she said. You earned theirs too. Callan smiled. I didn't do it alone. You believed in me first. She stepped closer and placed her hand gently on his chest. Mateblood is more than a name now. It's us. Peace didn't last long. Only a few weeks after Callan was accepted into the Vrakari Council, scouts returned from the outer valleys with terrible news. A rival tribe, the Shadowfangs, had broken the ancient agreement. They were gathering warriors, building weapons, and preparing to take over neighboring lands. The Shadowfangs had always refused to join the alliance with humans. They believed that bonding with outsiders was a sign of weakness, and now they were ready to fight. The elder called an emergency meeting in the High Chamber. All the clan leaders gathered along with Jari and Callan. The Shadowfangs will attack before the next moonrise, the elder said. They believe we have become soft, that allowing humans like Callan into our council is a disgrace. Jari stood up. Then we must show them how wrong they are. Some nodded in agreement, but others hesitated. They are many, one leader said. We cannot match them in number. Callan spoke clearly. Then we outsmart them. I've seen how they move. They don't expect us to be fast or clever or united. But we are. Jari looked at him. You have a plan? Callan nodded. We don't wait for them to come to the village. We meet them at the cliffs where the forest narrows. We'll trap them with fire and smoke, split their ranks, and fight on our own terms. The council listened in silence. Then slowly, the elder stood. We will follow your plan, Callan of Earth. Let the Shadowfangs learn that unity is stronger than fear. Preparations began immediately. Jari led the warriors into training, sharpening blades and teaching formation tactics. Callan helped design smoke bombs from tree sap and dry moss. He worked day and night, drawing maps, building traps, and making sure every warrior knew the plan. The night before battle, Callan sat outside his tent looking at the stars. Jari joined him, quiet and calm. You should rest, she said. I will. Just thinking, Callan replied. Jari sat beside him. You've changed everything, you know. I didn't mean to. That's why it worked. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Jari reached for his hand. Tomorrow might be hard, she said. But whatever happens, I'll be at your side. Callan squeezed her hand gently. Always. The battle began at dawn. The cliffs were covered in mist, and the forest air was thick with tension. Vrakari warriors stood in hidden positions waiting. Callan moved between them, giving final signals. Jari stood at the front, tall and steady. Then came the sound of drums. Heavy footsteps followed. The Shadowfangs marched forward, dark armor, painted faces, and weapons drawn. They didn't know the traps were set. As soon as the enemy stepped into the narrow pass, Callan gave the signal. Fires lit on both sides. Smoke bombs exploded, blinding the enemy and breaking their formation. Jari shouted the battle cry. For the clans! For Mateblood! The Vrakari charged in. The battle was fierce. Callan fought with speed, using a spear to defend himself and block attacks. He wasn't the strongest, but he was quick and clever. Jari moved like a storm, protecting him and striking hard against their enemies. Together, they were unstoppable. But then, a Shadowfang warrior larger than the others charged straight at Callan. He swung a heavy blade, knocking Callan to the ground. Jari saw it and ran toward them, but she was too far. The enemy raised his blade for a final strike, and Callan rolled aside just in time, grabbed a nearby spear, and drove it upward. The Shadowfang fell. Jari reached him and helped him to his feet. You're hurt, she said. I'm fine, Callan replied. Let's finish this. With one final push, the united clans forced the Shadowfangs to retreat. They left behind their banners and weapons, fleeing into the woods. Cheers rose from the cliffs. The battle was over. Later, the tribe gathered to honor the fighters. The elder raised his hand. Today we stood as one, he said. Not as clans, not as human or Vrakari, but as a family. He turned to Callan and Jari. Your bond has become more than a tradition. It has become a symbol of our future. Jari stood proudly beside Callan. We fought together. We bled together. And now, we rise together. The crowd cheered. That night, Callan and Jari sat again beneath the stars, just as they had many times before. But this time there was peace in the air. The fire crackled softly. No horns, no alarms, just quiet. You know, Callan said, when you bit me that day, I thought I was just unlucky. Jari laughed. And now? I think it was the best mistake of my life. She smiled. It wasn't a mistake, not anymore. They sat close, hands touching, watching the stars move slowly overhead. The bond of Mateblood had begun with confusion, fear, and doubt, but it had grown into something real, something chosen, and in the hearts of two very different warriors from two very different worlds, that bond would remain unshakable. Forever.